And good evening and welcome to another edition of Talking Wrestling. My name is Ralph Williams, and we're on 4 platforms tonight. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, along with my co-host Smokin Jim Frazier by telephone. We're here every Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m., and we're going to be talking wrestling. And I tell you what, Smokin Jim, welcome to the show, and we have a lot to talk about tonight here on Talking Wrestling. All right, Smokin Jim, let's get started with wrestling news. First of all, I want to know how you're doing and what's going on with you. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Looking forward to the show, buddy.
As always, likewise. Okay, first of all, let's get started with Seth Rollins. I had some breaking news today that Seth Rollins suffered a knee injury Monday night in his match against Austin Theory. And get this, Smokin Jim, he may be down 6 months to a year. He's got this severe knee injury. They haven't distinguished whether it's an MCL, ACL, or what it is yet. According to him, Seth Rollins on his social media page, it could be 6 months to a year till we see him again. Another knee injury that set him back, just like the one he had back in 2015. What do you think of this?
Well, I tell you what, I knew he did a backflip. Well, he was limping around, but when he did the one backflip and came down, and I could just see that knee buckle, I knew there was a problem with that knee, man. But I tell you what, he gutted it out. Although Austin Theory didn't give him no break on that knee, man. He was still banging on that knee every opportunity he got, man. But he showed so much heart, man, being able to wrestle on one leg like that.
I'm not an Austin Theory fan like you are, but I will give him credit. He's been coming up with ways to win. He's been coming up with ways to win his matches. And, against guys like Seth Rollins, you would think he wouldn't win matches, because Seth Rollins is one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's a 2-time Grand Slam champion. I mean, he's been around the block 3 or 4 times with these championship belts. So, I mean, I would have never thought that at all. Okay, get this now. Guess what faction's coming back and they want to face the Bloodline?
Who's that?
Hurt Business.
Wow.
The Hurt Business is coming back.
Wow.
And they want to
face
the Bloodline. MVP said on his Facebook page or on his social media page, he's reforming the Hurt Business. I don't know if Omos is going to be part of it. I'm hearing stories he went back to his country to attend to some family matters. I'm not sure as whether or not he's even going to come back and wrestle. But as far as I know, MVP has said that they're going to bring back the Hurt Business. And Lashley's for it. So it's looking like that's going to happen as soon as everything gets put together. You might see it before or at WrestleMania that they may be facing the Bloodline. And we'll find out what happens after that. All right, next, Matt Cardona. I don't know if you remember this guy, Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder of the Long Island IC. Well, guess what? The Long Island IC is coming back. He's coming back as Zack Ryder. He will return for the Royal Rumble. All right. So also, he is a former Impact champion and also former NWA champion 2 times. So he also was a WWE Intercontinental champion for a little while before he got released. Also, Nick Aldis has officially signed. We had this discussion in a few shows back about Nick Aldis. He had a falling out with, looks like we lost Smokin Jim there for a minute. Are you there, Smokin Jim?
I'm still here, buddy. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nick Aldis is officially signed by the WWE. He will probably be at the Royal Rumble as well. Asuka is either going to change her name in the WWE, or she's going to go back to NJPW, which is New Japan Pro Wrestling. She's changed her name to Kana, and she's going to be wearing more makeup, and she's going to be in a black and white wrestling attire. All right, so what do you think about that, Smokin Jim?
I tell you what, man, either way, it would be a good move for her to either go back to her home country or, stick it out here. She's a real talent.
Oh, absolutely. What do you think about Nick Aldis coming? I've told you who Nick Aldis was. He was Magnus in Impact Wrestling. He's held the NWA Championship for a while. Had a little falling out with Billy Corgan, the president of and owner of the NWA. I think he's a great talent. He's going to come back and he's going to be a great addition to the WWE. His wife is Mickey James. She may even be coming back as well. What do you think about Matt Cardona coming back as Zack Ryder, the Long Island IC? What's your thoughts on these two?
Well, let's see what he does at the Royal Rumble, man. That's going to be interesting, though.
Hey, you never know. You just never know. All right. All right. The NWA, speaking of the NWA, I wanted to let you know as well, have canceled their contract with Fight Network and are now going to be streaming just on YouTube only. So, they were streaming on YouTube and also they were with the Fight Network. So they canceled their contract with the Fight Network and apparently they're going to be just on YouTube with all their programming. All right, next, AEW FTR wants to go back to the WWE. They're very unhappy at AEW, the way they've been booked lately. And I believe that they're probably going to be, coming back. They just lost another one of their title belts of the three that they had. And it's looking like they could. Their contract runs out soon. So we're going to see if what happens there. Okay, here is a rumor. And now I'm hearing stories that it may not happen, but there's an exclusive rumor out there that Naomi is following Sasha Banks. And as you know, she's changed her name and she's on her way to New Japan Pro Wrestling. She may make some appearances on AEW, which if you work for one of these two organizations, Smokin' Jim, you are permitted to work for other ones. So you could see Naomi follow her. But now I'm hearing stories she is coming back to the WWE and will be joining the Bloodline. What is your thinking on this?
Well, that's good. The fans really like her. She's colorful. She lights up. I mean,
right.
Her outfits are awesome. So I always think, man, listen, if you can play in the NFL, which is the WWE, you know what I mean? That's where you should go. And so I'm glad she's coming back.
Your buddy last night there on NXT, Carmelo Hayes, he beat Apollo Crews last night on NXT. Did you see it?
No, I got a tape, but hey, man, when he shoots, he scores.
He scores. Yeah, and Wes Lee got the North American Championship back, and Kofi Kingston fought one of the men of that new crazy goofy faction. I forget how it's pronounced. But he fought one of them guys last night in singles competition. And of course, New Day won. Kofi, can put, like Xavier Woods said last night, we were wrestling before you were in diapers. Oh my! So anyway, that happened last night. What's your thoughts on Sasha Banks leaving the WWE? Going to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then also possibly could even make some appearances on AEW. What do you think about this?
Oh, it breaks my heart because not only is she sexy, but she can wrestle her tail off, and the fan, she had a great fan base, and I thought she was a big part of the WWE, and it's sad to see him go.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, now let's get started with the Raw for Monday Night Raw. We're going to go over what happened. The Bloodline tried to take over the show, and they didn't succeed. Adam Pearce put a stop to it, but they won every match that they were in. So, he put them in matches, and they won every match that they were in, which, of course, shows you something that the Bloodline is still a strong faction. We're going to find out what happens Friday night when Roman Reigns addresses everybody in regards to the loss him and Sami Zayn had to John Cena and Kevin Owens. What's your thoughts on this? Do you think they're going to kick Sami Zayn out, or do you think it's going to happen later on? Do you think it ain't going to happen at all?
Sammy's so popular. Long as he doesn't, I think they're going to ride it out for a while. Long as Sammy doesn't do anything to backstab the Bloodline, long as he still shows his loyalty, man, the fans are going crazy over Sammy, man. When he comes out, man, that's good for the popularity of the Bloodline. So I think that there's more to this storyline that can be written. So I think they'll play it out for a while.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Dexter Loomis beat Chad Gable. That was great to see Dexter Loomis get back on track after he lost to The Miz and lost all that money to The Miz in that ladder match. What do you think about Dexter Loomis? What do you think his future is with the WWE? Do you think he has any kind of future? What kind do you think the storylines will be okay with him? Or do you think he's going to be another waste? Johnny Gargano going to be another waste? What do you think?
Well, I think it's just a unique talent, man. He got a unique look to him. He got a unique draw. Man, he's like half human, half animal, half snake. I mean, the way he moves, man, never blinks, and got a good physique on him. So I think he's good. I think the people want to see him, pop up out of nowhere. And yeah, that was a good victory for him.
Alexa Bliss took on Bianca Belair in a disqualification. Alexa Bliss went bananas, beat up Bianca Belair pretty bad. I don't know what the extent of her injuries are. I haven't heard anything yet at this time. I know Montez Ford, her husband, came out to help her. I do know she does have some face damage from being plowed into the steps by Alexa Bliss. And, she has some facial injuries, I'm told. You think Alexa Bliss is getting ready to join Bray Wyatt? It seems like that's what's happening, and she's been using that Sister Abigail, things like that. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, one, Alexa, she had some blood on her too when I seen the interview. Right. But who's married to Ford?
Bianca Belair. She's married to Montez Ford.
I didn't know that. Yes. Boy, I'm just imagining that athleticism of their kids, man. Holy
hey, you know what?
I never knew that.
They're going to be wrestlers.
Holy smokes, man. I never knew that. But, yeah, man, she has to team up with the Bray because they're both nuts, man. Alexis beat up on Bianca, then she beat up on the referee, and she's just totally, she's a nutcase when she loses it, man. It looks like she even gets stronger, man, when she's enraged like that or under the spell, man. So, yeah.
We saw the Becky Lynch Mia Yim match against Damage Control. As always, Damage Control in their games. They won the match. I actually kind of thought Becky Lynch and Mia Yim were going to win this, and they were going to embarrass the champs, but it looks like that didn't happen. And from what I could tell, it looks like Bayley wasn't going to let it happen at all. And the fight is between Bayley and Becky Lynch, as you know. I'd like to see what's going to happen down the road with these tag team champs. What are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. I did think that the man would win, but I tell you what, tag team champions are clever, and but I tell you what, the man hit a nerve with when she was like, you don't even have a belt, you're doing all this talking, and your understudies are the ones with the belt, so
yeah, exactly.
that was pretty good smack, but.
Oh yeah, Becky Lynch has always been good with the mic. So is Bayley. So it's interesting. They're always throwing jabs at each other. They have fought many times before, and they're probably going to fight a few more times again. The Usos and Sami Zayn took on Kevin Owens and the Street Profits. You know who won that match? I'm not even going to go there. The Usos and Sami Zayn. Elias versus Solo Sikoa. Won that match too. So, I'm not going to go there either. Austin Theory versus Seth Rollins. We discussed earlier, Seth Rollins lost that match and he hurt his knee. We're going to see. But again, I'm impressed with Austin Theory, as I mentioned earlier. I think that he's finding a way to win every match. And I disagreed with you for a long time, but I got to give him kudos. And I don't give credit to too many people like that. But I gave him credit. I said, he basically, I've been wrong before. I have to come on tomorrow night when we're on the Year in Sports Review and admit I was wrong again. I was wrong about the Pitt game. I thought Pitt was going to get blown out 40-10, and they ended up winning. I was wrong about the Ravens-Steeler game. I thought the Ravens were going to beat the Steelers, and I wanted the Steelers to lose the next 2 games so they could get a nice draft pick. And we don't have to listen to Mike Tomlin go on and on about how he's won so many regular season games and all this other stuff. So I just, so I figure, and plus it'll give him an excuse to fire Matt Canada. And but I think, and we'll talk tomorrow night, that I think Matt Canada is going to go regardless. I have it from 2 prominent sources that said Matt Canada's done at the end of the year, regardless of where they go. So, I mean, anyway, next, Dominic Mysterio. Well, here we go. He was in jail, and I guess, they're throwing the storyline now that he learned his lesson in jail. So now he's got a toothpick in his mouth, dressed in a T-shirt, and he's trying to act like his Uncle Eddie. So
he said he did.
What do you think it is? What do you think it is?
He said he did a hard time, man. Oh, man, God.
I know. He was only in jail for 2 nights. Not even 2 nights, I don't think. And he was crying about how he had to do hard time. Let me tell you something, Dominic. You want to talk about hard time? I'll tell you about hard time. I mean, I know people who have really done some hard time. So, I mean, so if you want to do hard time, go do prison for 20 years and then come and tell me about hard time. You were in jail for 2 nights. You know what? Then he was almost crying when they was taking him away. Oh, yeah.
Don't let them take me. I can't make it in prison.
I played that video last week, man. I had a blast with that video. Oh, my gosh, I had a blast with it. And, tomorrow night on Wrestle Talk, we're going to be dissecting that as well. We're going to have a blast with that tomorrow night. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. As you know, those of you who do not know, Thursday night, Smokin, Jim, and I, and Mark Mancini, we do a Wrestle Talk national broadcast on Blog Talk Radio, 347-205-9631. And we do hope the phone lines work like they didn't tonight at PCTV. So we'll see what happens. I felt bad for you guys because everybody had to get on Zoom. You know what I mean? To get on, and I was like, oh my gosh! If I hadn't come in kind of late, I probably would have called in or Zoomed in. But I had to make my dinner and get ready for the show here. So But anyway.
Yeah, after that long drive, you had to get your dog.
Hey, but you know what though, Smokin' Jim? I'll tell you a little secret. I pushed the pedal. I beat the groomer to his house.
Wow!
I beat the groomer.
Wow.
He was in Carrick, and and he lives in Washington County, and I beat him.
Wow, that's moving.
Well, I got lucky on the Parkway too. The Parkway wasn't backed up. It wasn't that bad at all.
Okay.
Oh, it moved.
Okay.
And this was like 4:00 because usually the Parkway backs up from noon until like 8:00. You know what I mean? It's a mess. But inbound was bad. I got off of that, which I always do because I can't stand the inbound Parkway anymore. What I do is I get off when I come in from Washington, PA, or from 79. What I do is now I get off at Carnegie in 79 there, and I go through Carnegie and go home. I don't even bother messing with the Parkway because every time I go in the Parkway, I got to sit in traffic all the time. There's always an accident. People don't know how to drive. I mean, it's terrible, So,
wow.
Well, you ought to know something about that. You're at the parking lot east,
Yeah, I'm in traffic all the time, man. Yeah.
I used to be. I used to one time I was friends with the late Neil Spence. And he used to call it Parking Lot East when he would do his broadcast.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, John Cena, Kevin Owens last week on SmackDown. They beat Reigns and Sami Zayn. What do you think this does for the bloodline? Do you think Roman Reigns will recover? Because this is a loss for him as well. And do you know this is his first loss in well over a year or more? What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, this is his first loss. It's John Cena, but it was a tag team. He didn't lose his belt. He didn't lose individually.
No.
He just got to, make sure it doesn't happen again. I'm sure that's what the discussion will be on SmackDown. But yeah, man, what a great match, though, man.
Oh, that was a great one. Yes, it was. Yeah, okay. What do you think about Sikoa? Well, so of course he beat Sheamus. I'm not going to go there. We all know what happened there. Gunther and Braun Strowman. Here we are again. Gunther and the Imperium come out running their mouth again. Strowman comes out, and I love it when he does that. He gets out of the ring and he does that little running gun-ho thing. I call it the freight train move or whatever, you know. And he just knocked everybody over like a pinball, you know.
Right.
You know. And so do you think there is going to be a match between Strowman and Gunther as the year progresses? What do you think? You think it could happen at WrestleMania, or do you think it's going to happen before that?
I'm really not interested in that, man. I think that Braun is or destroying. It's just not a match that, you know. I see a few other things happening, maybe, but you know, they're leading up to that being a match, but it's not something I would be interested in. So hopefully they don't move in that direction. At least now. Maybe later on in the year they can build it up a little bit better. Yeah, I just see Braun on just a whole nother level.
How about Bray Wyatt spreading his gospel and then Uncle Howdy coming out and giving him Sister Abigail? Now I'm hearing stories, and you know, Smokin' Jim, when you're in this kind of in the wrestling business and you're into wrestling talk and things like that, you hear a lot of rumors. Okay. Now the one rumor I heard was that Uncle Howdy was Brock Lesnar. Now, first of all, I don't see that being the case, because if you take a look at Uncle Howdy, he doesn't look like stocky Brock Lesnar. Think about that, right?
Right.
So it is Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt's brother. I guess they're doing this as a storyline. And did you see LA Knight take a hike?
Yeah.
he ran for his life. He was like looking at the announce table and looking at the ring like, whoa, I'm getting out of here, man. I don't want nothing to do with this Uncle Howdy. And but I like it because you know why? He's starting to come back to when he was Eli Drake in Impact Wrestling. He said, "Shut up, dummies." You know, when he said to the fans, he went, "Shut up, dummies." You know,
right?
So, yeah, he's back to being Eli Drake. I love it, man. Shut up, dummies. So, and you know, as usual, Bray Wyatt was spreading his gospel. So, you know, Raquel Rodriguez versus Ronda Rousey. Rousey won the match, but Ronda did another thing. Ronda opened her big mouth, got cocky, and she paid for it again, just like she did against Liv Morgan. Now she paid for it against Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte Flair beat her, and now Charlotte Flair is now back again as the SmackDown Women's Champion. What do you think about this? Do you think – I'm hearing stories today. In fact, I got a key rumor, a key story today that Ronda Rousey has quit WWE. She went home crying the blues because she lost her belt. Ronda Rousey. What's your thoughts on this, or what's your thinking on this?
Well, you know, one thing you never know with women, especially a lot of women want to have more than one kid. Ronda got one kid. She could be pregnant or trying to get pregnant. Who knows? You know, she's at that age.
Right.
A lot of times they want their kids to kind of grow up together around, you know, get them a brother or sister. And so who knows? I mean, I'm just speculating, but, you know, I was surprised before when she was pregnant and ended up having a kid. So who knows, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now we're going to get into our top 10 segment here. But tonight, Smokin' Jim, we have two top 10s to start our new year off. And this is our first show of the new year. And we're here at Studio A here in Studios 808, part of RW Media, talking wrestling. You're watching here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. My name's Ralph Williams, along with my co-host by phone, Smokin' Jim Frazier. We're here every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Please don't forget tomorrow night, Thursday night, starts at 6 p.m. live, possibly a live call-in show. You may have to use Zoom. I'm not sure. I'll find out tomorrow when I get there at the TV station. PCTV, Channel 21, Comcast, 47, Verizon Cable in Allegheny County. We're going to be live on their on PCTV's Facebook page as well. The Year in Sports Review. And it's going to be the guys from Steel City Sports World and myself. We're going to have a big-time blast tomorrow night going over the year in sports review. We're going to have debates about the Steelers, Pitt football, the Pirates, Pitt basketball, and a whole lot more all tomorrow night. I want to send my prayers out to Damar Hamlin. I didn't get a chance to do that last night because, as I said, I was feeling under the weather last night. We couldn't do Sports Corner, so we were unable to send our prayers and out to Damar Hamlin and his family as well. All right, let's start off with our top 10. First top 10 we're going to do is Sports Illustrated Smokin' Jim came out with the top 10 best wrestlers, okay? In no specific order. Bianca Belair is Jon Moxley, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Will Ospreay, Jamie Hayter. Let's see. Let's see here. Victor Venice or something like that. Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and Masha Slamovich. Some of these wrestlers are from New Japan Wrestling. What do you think about this top 10?
I'm not familiar with the New Japan wrestlers, but the ones that you mentioned that I am familiar with, I can't disagree with those guys. Those guys and girls being in the top 10.
Yeah, I think Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair, Jon Moxley, formerly known as Dean Ambrose, he's in AEW. He's in this too. Seth Rollins, Jamie Hayter's the AEW Women's Champion. Will Ospreay, he came from New Japan. He's wrestling in AEW and ROH. I see him a lot on AEW every now and again. Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, you know who they are, FTR. So I was actually surprised I didn't see Kenny Omega on this list, the Young Bucks, some other wrestlers as well. I'm really shocked I didn't see them on this list, but that's Sports Illustrated. All right, the top 10 wrestlers Smokin' Jim, believe it or not. You ready for this? Working regular jobs.
Wow.
All right,
wow.
So you want to take a guess, or do you want me to start reading them off?
You can read them off.
All right. First one is, I don't know if you remember this guy. He was back in the Attitude Era, Rico. Well, he's working a regular job. I forget what they said he was doing. Spike Dudley is working a regular job. He's a tech sales guy. Spike Dudley.
Wow.
Molly Holly, she's working a regular job. She also has made spotty appearances on Royal Rumble every year. She makes an appearance on Royal Rumble. Nia Jax. Well, that's a familiar name, isn't it? Nia Jax.
Yes, sir. Yes,
all right.
Sir.
Well, Nia Jax has some kind of a clothing line out for heavy women, set women, and she's marketing that right now. And she's been doing some acting. The Rock got her into some acting, so she don't need to wrestle. Bo Dallas, he's been doing some acting, and of course, he's coming back to the WWE. Chris Zawinski, he's a wrestler from back in the day as well. He's working a regular job. You're not going to believe this. Ted DiBiase Sr., guess what he's doing now?
What?
He's going around as doing public speaking and preaching in churches.
Wow. I didn't expect that.
And do you know this? And we can do where are they now on him, but I didn't know if you knew this or not. Do you know when he was on with Robin Leach, and Robin Leach showed him at a house, it was a big mansion and everything. And, remember he played the character, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Well, he's really not rich. I mean, he really isn't as rich as Robin Leach said he was. He still has his money from wrestling. But he borrowed one of Vince McMahon's mansions for that show. Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he borrowed one of Vince McMahon's mansions for that show. So.
Wow.
Yep. Lars Sullivan. Remember him? The big guy was NXT. Came back for a little while. Big monster-looking guy with a bald head.
Yeah.
Well, he's working a regular job now. He's training in a gym. He's working as a trainer at a gym. And he's still having depression problems, and he's not wrestling anymore. But that's what he's doing. Jocelyn Duke. To be honest with you, I really don't know who she was. But supposedly she is working a regular job as well. And Ivory. I don't know if you remember Ivory. She's working a regular job. What's your thoughts on these regular jobbers here now?
Hey man, you got to feed the family, brother.
You know what, Smoking Jim? I've known you long enough to know that I was expecting you to say that. Oh my. Anyway, let's get to our Where Are They Now? All right. Tonight, Where Are They Now is about Ric Flair. Ric Flair is currently 73 years old. He was born in 1949 as an orphan. He was adopted. His mother dropped him off at an orphanage. And he was from the Minnesota or Minneapolis area, somewhere up in there. And his real name is Richard Fleir, Fleir, Richard Fleir, kind of like Flair, but Fleir. Okay, Richard Fleir, Smoking Jim, and he was once a real estate agent. He worked in real estate before he got into wrestling, but he only did it for a brief time. And he also worked as a bouncer at a bar. Started wrestling with promoter Vern Gagne. Vern Gagne. I'm sure everyone knows Vern Gagne. He's a WWE Hall of Famer. He got a lot of guys started in wrestling. He wrestled back in the day with Buddy Rogers and all those guys. Smoking Jim. I don't know if you're familiar with Vern Gagne. So, but he was roommates with weightlifter and wrestler Ken Patera. Do you remember Ken Patera?
Wow, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
He roommated with Ken Patera when he got started in wrestling, and Vern Gagne gave him the name Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Made him dye his hair blonde, and said, "If I'm going to get you into wrestling and you're going to succeed, you need to be the Nature Boy, Ric Flair." So that's how that has started. He started wrestling in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's how he became acclimated to the city. In 1975, he was in a plane crash. And what had happened was when he first started wrestling in 1974, what had happened was he was involved in a plane crash he was sharing an airplane at $100. I think it was $100 a week or $100 a month or something like that, with 3 other wrestlers. And the 4 of them shared this airplane and paid $25 each. So to fly in a private jet for $25, that's not a bad idea. You know what I'm saying? Every month or or whatever. Yeah. I wish they were that much now. We could all fly on a private jet. So anyway, in 1975, they were on their way to an event, and the plane crashed. And he almost lost his life in that. He almost lost his life. He had some injuries. Almost couldn't wrestle no more. But he rehabbed, and he got back into the thick of things. And he got the woo. He got the woo from Jerry Lee Lewis. Okay.
Really?
From the song "Goodness Gracious, Great Balls of Fire," woo.
Wow.
So, yeah. Early 80s. In the early 80s, he was coming off that private airplane. Well, he ended up getting another private airplane. By this time, he was making enough money he could afford his own plane. And he was at an airport, and he was getting on the airplane. On his way on the airplane, it was thunder and lightning out, and lightning had struck him. He got struck by lightning. So, yeah, and he started the Ric Flair persona in the 80s. It really hit big in the 80s. I'm sure you'll remember all the big matches he had against Lex Luger, Sting, Ricky Steamboat, bunch of guys, Buddy Rogers, a whole bunch of guys.
He was my favorite. He's my all-time favorite wrestler, man. Nobody's even close.
Do you know, Hulk Hogan said this, and he says, you know something? He said Ric Flair is more popular than Hulkamania. You're not going to believe it, but it's true. He's more popular than Hulkamania. Everybody loves Ric Flair. And when it comes to wrestling, Stephen H. Smith even said many rappers that he's done some rap songs with. And then in the rap songs, he does the woo and dances with them. He does his little strut dance. Yeah. 73 years old, and he's still doing it. So he has 200 pairs of shoes. 200 pairs of shoes. And he said he doesn't like to wear the same suit or the same pair of shoes. Okay. He bought 4 suits a week for 36 years.
Wow.
4 suits a week.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He was always sharp. He always dressed sharp.
Always dressed sharp. Yep. And the Four Horsemen got started in 1986. Remember when? Of course, we all do when he was with the Four Horsemen, and he also, believe it or not, and he was forced to go to rehab. Drank a lot, and he mostly started drinking more when his son died. You know, his son Reed died in 2013. He committed suicide. He overdosed on drugs in his hotel room, and Reed passed away, and he took it real hard, and he started drinking too much. And Vince McMahon told him, "I'm not bringing you back here until." Well, Triple H told him, "I'm not bringing you back here until you get into rehab." So he forced him to go into rehab. He said he went in for 37 days, and when he got out, he went and got a six-pack. He says to this day he still drinks. So,
when did you say that the Four Horsemen started?
1986. That was the original
86.
first.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
That they originally started. I mean, there's been all different types of lineups of the Four Horsemen, from Lex Luger, Barry Windham, Mike Rotunda. There was, Steve Mongo McMichael. There was a bunch of guys. Sting was even a horseman for a little while. I mean, there was a lot of guys. Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko. I can name you a whole bunch of guys in different combinations of the Four Horsemen. But nobody beats the original. Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson, and Ric Flair. They kicked butt and took names. So
yes, they did.
So Ric Flair lived the way he wrestled. Women in drama. He said he loved it, and he lived it the way he portrayed it in wrestling. And you know what? There are not too many guys who really do that. I mean, when you think about it, So he promoted Marriott, because if you ever notice, remember how he always said, "We're going tonight to the Marriott. We're going to party. We're going to have a good time, me and my women." Well, it turns out that the Marriott ended up giving them half-price discounted rooms and free drinks at all their bars.
That ain't bad.
For him promoting the Marriott. Yeah.
That ain't too shabby.
Yeah, he's been married 4 times, and he had 2 kids with his first wife, Megan and David. Now, you do know there was a lot of bitterness over the years with Megan and David, because he never spent any time with them. He was too busy on the road wrestling. And he told me, or he didn't tell me, but he said he wrestled 365 days a year. He never stopped. So he never got to be a father, a real father to them. But, as they grew up and some things happened, actually, if you take a look at the WCW storyline with NWO, and remember when Bischoff pulled David Flair into the NWO, or into one of them factions back in the day? Well, that actually is true. David Flair was bitter with his father. He really was bitter with his father, because he was never around in his life. He really wasn't. And when WCW...
Is Rick still with Lacey Evans?
Actually, no. That was the storyline. We all know that.
I know.
And he got her pregnant too.
Yeah.
60-some-year-old man, a woman pregnant. I can't stop laughing when I heard that was going on. I just can't. It's hilarious. Some of the storylines that the WWE has come up with over the years. Like, remember when Hornswoggle was Vince McMahon's illegitimate son? Remember that? Oh, that was funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Oh. In 1998, wait a minute, hold on a second. Okay, here we go. When WCW first got started with the corporate entity, they made him cut his hair. Now, he was in WCW for a little while when Ted Turner took it over, and it started becoming kind of corporate. That was when they made him cut his hair, and he didn't like it, and I didn't like him like that either, but they made him cut his hair. They told him that he looked, now he told me in them days, you didn't just walk out whenever you felt like it and, oh, well, your contract's null and void. They actually would sue you. And Eric Bischoff said that when Flair didn't show up for some matches and went to go see his son Reed wrestle when he was actually started becoming a family man back in the late 90s in 1999, Eric Bischoff and WCW actually sued him for not showing up for a bunch of matches. They wanted him to pay the money back that they were going to pay him for these matches. And yeah, exactly. That got bitter ugly. And Bischoff and Flair never, ever, really ever got along. And then in TNA, they kind of played it off like they were friends as a storyline when they were in TNA, because it was Flair, Bischoff, and Hogan all working together, and they were in some faction in TNA. Back when Dixie Carter was trying to get TNA, she would hire anybody, even somebody off the street, to try to fix TNA. She hired Vince Russo, which I think was one of the reasons TNA went down the toilet. She tried to hire hired Eric Bischoff. You know, he couldn't produce the magic he did with WCW. And then she hired Hulk Hogan. He couldn't do it. Ric Flair. Nobody could do it. And, you know, they ended up, as you see, where they are now, owned by Anthem Sports, and they're, you know, on Access TV. Okay, he won the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble in 1990. 1991, he joined the WWE, and he had 4 kids by that time. He had 2 more kids. He had Ashley, which is Charlotte Flair, and then Reed was born to another woman. So, you know, of course, they all share the same father, but not the same mother. He was married 4 times, like I said. Won the WWE Royal Rumble at the 1993 Royal Rumble, and then went on to become champion. Charlotte Flair, whose real name is Ashley, in 1993, I think that was the year she was born. Yeah, she was born then. And then in 1998, Flair started to really be with his family. Eric Bischoff, which, as I mentioned, had said to this day that he had was going to sue Ric Flair with WCW legally for not showing up. And then then Eric Bischoff turned the family element thing into a storyline where he had Reed Flair come out and beg Eric Bischoff to give Ric Flair his job back. You know, it was turned into a storyline. It worked. I mean, the ratings were up sky high on it, and it worked out real well. Went back to the WWE in 2002 after the sale of WCW to Vince McMahon. They brought him back. He was kind of like he was the manager. And then remember when they started in 2008, they started Evolution with Triple H and Randy Orton and Batista. And, you know, so that was a great faction. And then his last match was against Shawn Michaels in 2008. And he officially quit wrestling then. And then he came back for some spot matches. And then in 2017, as I mentioned before, due to the death of his son Reed in 2017, his drinking got so bad that they had to put him in rehab, and he actually ended up in the hospital and for a while, and then in rehab. And then at 73 years old, he had heart surgery in 2018. Took rehab for almost 60 days, and he had almost didn't make it. He said he's surprised to this day that he's still alive. And when he wakes up in the morning, he said, and I quote, "I'm surprised I'm still alive." That's what he always says. But he's active. He's on Car Shield commercials. I think you've seen him there. He's been on overnight shows with Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Fallon or one of them. But he's been doing a lot. At 73 years old, the motor's still running. He's got his woo back. He's got his excitement back. And he's back in business. And Charlotte Flair's not doing too bad. She married Andrade. And so, you know, but he has wrestled a grand total of 800 times.
Wow.
He's wrestled 800 times. And that is our segment tonight of the Where Are They Now? Tonight was Ric Flair. So I hope you enjoyed it. And next week we're going to have another wrestler for the Where Are They Now? Smokin' Jim, anything to add before we close up?
Man, that was great, man. That should go that bit should go all over the world, man. That was tremendous, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, man. Really. You know, but we're getting better and better here on this show. Wrestle Talk is across the country. As you know, we've been over 500 listeners. It's getting better and better as well. And we're going to be moving on up, as they say, in the Jeffersons and everything else. So stay here to Talking Wrestling every Wednesday night, 7:30. And please do not forget Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. If you live in Allegheny County in the city of Pittsburgh, 6 p.m. PCTV, Channel 21, Comcast 47, Verizon Cable. The Year in Sports Review, myself, Smokin, Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, and Luther Dupree. And we're going to have a blast tomorrow night talking sports about reviewing the entire year in Pittsburgh sports. Wasn't a very good one, but we're going to go over it anyway and go over some of the future of some of the teams. What do you think is going to happen in 2023? And, of course, the phone lines may be open, but just in case, take this number down anyway, 412-231-2288, or we'll probably be on Zoom again tomorrow. We'll find out if they get the phone lines back up and running down the TV station. So, by the way, tomorrow night, Smokin' Jim, I'm going to have a tin can out tomorrow night. I'm taking donations to get them new phone lines so they don't fall apart again. You know? I'm gonna be standing out over there by the West End Bridge. Donations for PCTV phone lines. Oh man, I tell you what, life is a highway, man. That's all. You know what I mean? Life is a highway, and I want to ride it all night long.
I know that's right.
Smokin' Jim, what's your plans for this year, man? What's going on with you with the new year? What do you think?
Nothing changes, man. Just keep my head down and work as hard as I can, brother.
That's it. I hope you do better at the sports book.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Oh man. Hey, you know what? I was listening to Paul Zeiss today on KDK, and he hit the Mega Millions for $10,000.
Wow.
He was talking about how some of these people, they hit for $1,000 and they act like they hit for $1 million. He was talking about how people down at the casino and stuff like that. It was a pretty good show today. He was talking about how people gamble at the casino. And what he does when he goes down there, he says he gets involved in some poker matches and things like that. So if you see him down there, tell him I said hello when you see him down at the casino.
Oh, okay. You guys know each other?
What's that?
You guys know one another?
Well, we're friends on Facebook. I've known Paul for a long time.
Okay.
I've known Paul, gosh, forever. In fact, I'll tell you a little story. My first wife, when she was alive, she was in a nursing home. And right before she died, she was watching. Remember when the Sports Showdown kind of got started? It was brand new. And she was up late watching it. And she called me on the phone. I had to go to bed early because I had a job I had to get up for in the morning. It's like 5 a.m. So I went to bed early that night. She calls me up on the phone. I says, everything okay? She says, yeah. She said, I have a question for you. And you're probably going to answer this. I said, well, what is it? She said, who is this guy, this loudmouth here? I think he's an obnoxious Greek. I think his name is Paul Zeiss. I said, no. It's Paul Zeiss. And she says, do you know him? I says, yeah, I know Paul. I've known Paul for a while. Because when I used to get down to press conferences down at Three River Stadium, he'd be there. So I knew right. Paul, you know what I mean? So I've known Paul for years. But anyway, he said, no, I said, his name is Paul Zeiss. And she said, well, he has a loud mouth. And I says, yeah, I know that. And I says, that's why you called me, right? And she says, no, she says, you would know him because you got one too. And I said, yeah, you're right. That's
funny.
Yeah. It was hilarious, but it was funny. She, she said, who's this Paul Zeiss? I said, it's not Zeiss, it's Zeiss. And she said, yeah, he's an obnoxious Greek. I said, well, I don't think he's Greek. I don't know what he is. You know what I mean? So she thought he was Greek. So, all right, I'm going to get rolling here. Smokin' Jim, thank you for being part of the show tonight. And as always, everyone out there, thank you for being part of the show in our 4 formats, YouTube, or our 4 platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and also Twitch and Twitter. We'll be back next Wednesday, 7:30, right here on Talkin' Wrestling. My name's Ralph Williams for Smokin' Jim Frazier. Everybody have a great night. Thank you.